getting into my. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was having trouble retrieving messages from the phone, so
Oh,
that's
okay.
yeah. My phone, right? Because it wasn't going through. I'm like, okay, something's up here. Luckily,
Cool.
we got that cleared up. Thank God.
Happy to see you. Before we start, guys, this is the Walker Report. We are a part of NGSC Sportscast. Remember the website, it's ngscsports.com for all your current sports content. The show is sponsored by biotropiclabs.com. Head over there to biotropiclabs.com. Enter promo code TWR for 50% off a one-time purchase, 20% off. Enter code TWRS if you get off a subscription purchase and one additional supplement. All right, guys, happy Thursday. It is raining pretty hard where I'm at. The skies just opened up in Tampa.
Yeah.
So it is.
Is Adam not going to be on?
I don't know where he's at. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where he's at the moment. I don't know if you guys saw us out, Alec. This was on during our show earlier that Wander Franco did get a 2-year prison sentence.
Only 2
Yeah.
years instead of 5.
Yeah, in the Dominican. So
Now we have murder.
I guess they wanted 5 to 10. He only got 2. So
But yeah, so he got off easy. Dipwad.
Well, the Rays can get out of his contract now.
Correct. They can go ahead and get that money back, and they can put it towards current players or signing new guys. The trade deadline is coming up, so it's you can bring some new faces in. So
I would say use that money toward Junior Caminero.
Yep.
Huh.
I listened to a interview this morning with Tim Kirchin from ESPN, and he said that Junior Cabanero is one of the better players in the league right now, hands down. He said he's one of the.
I would believe that.
One of the better players. He said something along the lines of that he was covering a Rays Blue Jays game. Watching Junior in BP, he's like, yeah, the kid is outstanding. And I was there when he made his major league debut. I mean, it was just like with Wander Franco. A lot of media were there to watch him come up. And they said on the radio that there's, he still kind of has some defensive struggles to go through, but obviously he's in the lineup for his bat. We all know that. So, and I don't know what Yandy Diaz's contract is left. I don't know if he's got 1 year left, but I could see them moving him to DH and letting someone else play third base. If that would be it's up to him, but I could see that happening.
Well, I mean, they do got Curtis Mead up right now. They got Braden Taylor that's in, I think, AAA. And that's a second baseman, third baseman. They got Carson Williams, but I think they want him to play shortstop.
Okay.
Which, that's going to spell the end for Taylor Walls probably at some point.
No, I would agree with that, but I agree. Adam goes, did I miss the link for tonight? I sent it.
Huh.
Oh, boy.
Because you two got it, right? I mean, Alec, I sent it to you via email, but you got it, right? Okay. I just want to make sure. And it looks like in MMA, it looks like John Jones is officially going to retire. So he's going to hang it up. There he is.
There's Adam.
Good.
So John Jones officially is going to hang it up. Do you guys think he gets a retirement match? Do you think he has a chance? Do you think Dana White lets him do that?
Maybe against Conor. Yeah. Maybe against Conor McGregor.
Oh, boy.
Sorry, I missed your question. Go ahead. What was your question?
John Jones' buddy is retiring from MMA. Do you think he gets one last match in the cage, in the octagon, before he hangs it up fully?
If he wants it.
Well, who do you think it would be against?
McGregor, maybe.
Maybe. What weight class is he?
I think he's heavyweight. Hey,
Okay. I mean, I think
Michael Chandler, maybe.
Could be.
If it's
Justin Poirier.
Cormier would be my pick. I know Cormier. I think he's an
I like that
announcer
choice.
now.
I like
that would be one last hoorah for both of them.
I'll put it to you this way, guys. If it's against McGregor, I'd rather see McGregor in the cage. Anybody agree with me?
Well, here's the thing. McGregor was supposed to have a match with Michael Chandler, but then he backed out last minute.
Yeah, chicken.
Yeah, it's gonna rain for
exactly.
Yeah, I saw that, and then also too, in boxing, it seems like Jake Paul?
Yes.
One of the guy. Is it Chavo Guerrero Jr.? Maybe I'm getting the name wrong. Oh, I'm sorry, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. My fault. That's that's the match that is next for him. Let me see what this says real quick. I saw this afternoon. It says that Jake Paul makes his first appearance of 2025 with a 10-round cruiserweight bout against former middleweight champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. on Saturday in Anaheim, California. This will be Paul's 13th pro fight, his first against former boxing champ other than last November's fight against 58-year-old Mike Tyson. On paper, Chavez is probably the best opponent outside of Tyson Paul will have faced. But Chavez has fought only once since December of 2021. Even at his peak, he wasn't known for his discipline while training. Failed to make weight multiple times. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. That might be a fight.
I hope Jake Paul gets knocked out.
I was going to say I think Jake Paul is going to be the one that stands up and shows that he's a boxer. He's actually facing someone who can actually hang in the ring with him. Tyson was too old.
He still is.
Well, and he wants to box. He also wants to box his brother at some point.
Huh? Interesting.
I'd like to tell.
They've been talking about it on Logan's podcast that he has.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care for either of them. Both of them are very cocky.
Yes.
Especially Logan. Logan thinks he should be world champion. And
it's the character he's playing.
Well, we've talked about those two on the show many times, and I think with them, what it is they're going to continue to do what they do until someone shuts them up, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to.
And I think it was Jake that said he'd fight. That he said he would get in an MMA ring and fight McGregor if Dana White would allow it. Which I'd pay good money to see that.
So we get a lot of pay-per-view buys. I don't even know if they call them pay-per-view anymore.
Premium live events is the WWE likes to say.
Yeah.
PLE. Which, speaking of, I haven't heard anything. Have they? Somebody was saying that they were talking about canceling Night of Champions because of everything that's been going on over in
the Mideast. I've heard that, but WWE isn't saying anything about that.
I just saw an article a few minutes ago that said that the plane to Saudi Arabia has taken off to fly to Saudi Arabia for Night of
Okay.
Champions. So
Okay.
again, that's you can't believe everything you read on the internet either, but that's what I just saw.
What do y'all think of Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross?
Mm.
He's gonna turn heel.
Well, see what and like you said, you can't believe everything you see on the internet. But I've heard people saying maybe it's the opposite. Maybe Karrion Kross is turning babyface, and what he's doing to Sammy is he's trying to show him that he shouldn't be insecure, and that Karrion's going to help Sammy win the championship.
Because
and then the New Day trying to chicken out of defending the titles that they should have never won at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bradley and I talked about it on our show. But what do y'all think of Goldberg versus Gunther? Adam?
I have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah.
I've heard people saying that Goldberg might actually win.
I don't think Goldberg wins, but
okay.
I just think, again, I said I have mixed feelings because back in the day, Goldberg was my guy, and that was 30 years ago when Goldberg was in his late 20s, and now at almost 60, it's hard. It's hard when you have a guy. I feel bad for the rest of the roster. You have he's not even a part timer. He's a guy. He's a cherry picker. I mean, you have a guy like Goldberg coming in and cherry picking big spots to Night of Champions, WrestleMania.
Well, this was kind of set up last year at, I think it might have been Night of Champions. It was one of the PLEs. Goldberg was in, it might have been SummerSlam. Goldberg was in the crowd, and Gunther took a microphone and cut a promo and called out Goldberg, basically talking about, oh, you're an embarrassment to your family.
Whoa.
And I think the one thing we've learned in wrestling is the number one thing you do is you never talk about family. You never bring people's family into it. Because that's asking for
trouble.
Yeah. Do we I have another question. Do we think the Usos are gonna reunite?
Maybe for one night, but I don't think they'll come back. Like, are you asking like as a team?
Yes, because
no,
I've heard rumors that they want to put them back together and give them one more run and have them take the titles off the New Day.
I think they were too well as solo performers. I think there's just too much. They're just too good being on their own. To put them back together would kill any momentum they have.
Well, after their singles runs are done,
I couldn't see them doing that within the next year. No. Maybe in 2 or 3 years. But
and then do you think? Go ahead.
If they lose, if their single runs kind of fizzle out, then maybe you bring them back together for one more run at the tag titles. But they're both super
the tag
over.
team division, it would be Raw. The tag team division on Raw is bleak. You wouldn't put them on SmackDown because they'd just get lost in a shuffle. SmackDown tag team division is stacked. And I have a feeling that the Street Profits are going to lose their title soon.
I feel I've always felt that Raw was a better brand for solo runs.
Yes.
Yes, and I do feel like Jay's going to win the world title again. It's just that I think they need to. I think if Goldberg wins Saturday, they're going to have Seth cash in.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see it going either way.
And have him, but this time he's going to fail compared to last time.
I hate that.
He shouldn't have won it in the first place, though.
I think that was who should have won it.
LA Knight.
Yeah, I just want to right there.
No, they haven't done enough with LA Knight to justify him winning
whoever, it. I'll tell you
I
who shouldn't have won it other than Seth. El Grande Americano.
Right, I'll agree with that. But I think
people are now saying it's not Chad Gable that's El Grande Americano. They're saying it's Ludwig Kaiser. I don't see the resemblance.
They have the same.
No, Ludwig Kaiser.
El Grande Americano and Chad Gable have the same neck tattoo.
Yes. So people are trying to say that it's Ludwig Kaiser because he's been on from TV.
You are, if you believe it's anyone other than Chad Gable, you are the markiest mark to have ever marked in the history of the Funky Bunch.
Yes. No, I agree with you. It is Chad Gable.
Split.
And why do you think they wrote him off TV this week? Because he's having surgery on his shoulder.
But to go back to Seth and winning the Money in the Bank ladder match and
people say it was the right decision. It was the safe pick.
In terms of protecting the business and doing what's best for business, only Seth could win because Seth has Heyman and Breaker and Bronson Reed. And that faction, and they're building that storyline up. I think the payoff would be great if LA Knight were to win the titles at Mania next year to put the belt on Seth at Night of Champions Saturday.
Here's what people are saying: is this gives them the vibes of Evolution with Triple H, Batista.
Randy Orton.
With Triple H, yep. And when Batista turned on Evolution.
If I was, it doesn't feel like Evolution to me. It feels like its own thing. If I was going to create, because I think they should have a rival, and I think LA Knight should Randy Orton, LA Knight, and maybe Penta or maybe Kaiser. You could pick a third guy. And Goldberg, you put Goldberg on that team as the counter to Paul Heyman, and let Goldberg be kind of a manager type.
Or you know what I read today is Vicky Guerrero is coming back.
On God, why?
That's the exact same. That's the exact same reaction I had when I read it today. I'm like, why? Dolph's not there anymore. I mean, unless you were gonna have her do a run-in with Cena, which we could talk about that.
Yeah.
Well,
Cena's pipe bomb on CM Punk.
Excellent.
I love how he called out Claudio Castagnoli, Nick Nemeth, and Cardona. And then Cardona cut a promo on, was it, I don't know if it was TNA or some indie show. And he basically chirped back at Cena. Do we think Cena's winning tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Not tomorrow night. Saturday.
Saturday night. Yeah. I don't see them taking
But here's the thing. Do they extend this feud till like SummerSlam?
I don't see Cena. I've been on this train since he came back in January, of putting the belt on him and letting him because it's the clean slate protocol. He rides off into the sunset with the belt, and there's nobody has the belt. You create a new championship. You call it whatever you want. You can call it the Grandpa Slidem title or whatever, and it's new for a new generation, and you create drama.
Yeah,
and you can put it,
but
and
what
you can
I've been hearing is they're going to keep it on him till right before he retires, and they're going to have somebody beat him for it.
And I personally like the idea of him walking out of the arena with it. It's his title. He's the holder of the belt because.
But I feel like the heel turn is actually starting to pick up traction now.
And I've loved the heel turn since everybody wanted John Cena to turn back for a decade. Everybody wanted John Cena to turn heel, right? We talked about that since 2014 when he semi-retired, when he was a part-timer. We need a Cena heel run. We need a Cena heel run. We need a Cena heel run. Now you've got your Cena heel run, and it's not good enough. What do you? He's playing a bad guy. Oh, he's sold out.
It's
yes,
all these Cena. It's these people that love Cena that can't stand the fact that he's a heel. I've always been a Cena fan, but I feel like the heel turn after it happened at
Mania.
No,
Was
Chamber.
Chamber.
I feel like The Rock had kind of killed it for a little bit, and then Cena's now picking it back up, and
I don't know what you're seeing that I'm seeing differently, because I thought that Cena's the brilliance of it, of this heel run, compared to like most heel, but you don't have a 20-year face turn heel. Usually it happens either like early, you have a heel run, and then you have a face run, and then you turn heel again, and then you ride off as a face. Or you'll have multiple, kind of like Kane had multiple heel runs in his career where he was playing a bad guy.
Could you see AJ Styles doing the same thing that Cena's doing right now? Or what is he better as, Styles, heel or face?
I think he's better as a locker room attendant.
Yeah. That's
I've never found that. I've never got the fascination with AJ Styles. I don't think
I'm not a big Styles person either. I was just trying to gauge
I can't. It's hard for me to. I'll defer to the room, but as a guy who doesn't really care for AJ Styles, it's hard for me to say. A guy like Damian Priest, I think for somebody that I can talk about as opposed to somebody that I really can't talk about it, I think Damian works better as a face. I really like Damian as a face. It's kind of a.
I do too.
And going back to what I was saying earlier about putting together a new evolution, I think if you put LA Knight and Randy Orton and Damian Priest together to face off, because you have that kind of.
Yes, but the problem is you can't trust Randy Orton.
No.
But that's what makes it brilliant, because you can't trust Randy Orton.
I was thinking LA Knight, Damian Priest, and maybe I want to say Jacob Fatu, but
okay. Let me explain why I want Randy. Is he's an elder statesman, right? You got two younger guys who
kind of take him under his wing,
take him, and then he can betray them. Later on down the road, look at this new evolution 2.0, Randy's evolution, because he was an original member of Evolution with Batista and Triple H, even though and Triple H was kind of that elder statesman.
To piggyback your idea, I had another one. How about you have Randy
Yeah.
Start a new evolution, but with 2 people from NXT.
You could do that. You could bring in you could bring in Trick
Ricky
Williams
Saints or Ricky
Joe
Saints.
Hendry.
Ricky Saints and Joe Hendry.
Or Trick Williams
Because
and Joe Hendry. Or
I would say the only one I would say no to is Ethan Page because he is a heel.
oh, he's great as a heel.
And I think that he's going to end up joining Seth's faction.
They could. But I like a 3-man stable. I think 4 is a crowd. I think outside of if you look,
what I've heard is that the reason they bring Ethan Page in is to be the cocky, to be not the mouthpiece, but to be like the guy that uses underhanded tactics to win. Because I mean, we know Seth is capable of doing that, but at this stage in his career, Seth probably doesn't want to do that. And then I've heard that Braun Breaker is going to be the one to turn on Seth and Bronson.
I don't hate that. I like Braun Strowman to be the one that defeats John Cena. If you're taking the belt off John Cena,
you mean Braun Breaker?
Did I say it wrong? Yeah, I meant Braun Breaker. Yeah.
Strowman's not one with the company anymore, unfortunately.
Okay, I just missed
but they did say that they wouldn't be opposed they would be opposed to bringing him back after he gets heals up. Because he's had to have surgery on I think it was a C3 and C4 or C4 and C5 discs in his knee. And he's already had surgery on his right knee. And that I think that's somebody they failed with. They could have put Braun Strowman in the Wyatt 6.
They could have.
And that would have made sense. Because he had history with Bray.
Again, I think anything more than outside the 4 horsemen, I think once you start getting 4, 5, 6 guys in there, there's just too many mouths to feed. Look at the Judgment Day when they had everybody together. There's just too many mouths to feed.
The Judgment Day needs to. You know what? I like this. I'm going to say this. I'm kind of digging this new Judgment Day. Finn, JD, Dom, Raquel, Roxanne. I think I know people want to say that the Judgment Day is going to break up. I think we're heading towards Liv losing everything. She's already lost. She's probably going to lose Dom. She's already lost Raquel.
Mm-hmm.
And you know Finn, every time they have a segment, he's got that sadistic, vindictive smile on his face.
I would love to see him run the
demon
one more time.
Oh, I would too. I think eventually they're gonna break up the Judgment Day, and he's gonna go back to being a solo. Go back to solo, being a solo act, and that's when he's gonna bring out the demon.
Well, and I've been saying, I thought for 5 years that they should have broken up the Judgment Day back when Damian Priest was running the whole thing, but
when Damian and Rhea were,
yeah. I'm just a schmuck with a camera. I don't have any insight other than what I can glean from what I see on TV and read on the internet. And I think that a lot of it is on our part is wish fulfillment, things we'd like to see, and it's not necessarily what's,
I tell you who they need to put a title on. Penta.
I think he gets I think it's the IC title soon.
Well, but what I've been hearing people saying is Finn's going to be the one to take the IC title off of Dominic.
Then and you could have Finn and Penta. That would be a good That'd be a good match.
That would be a 5-star match.
It could be very well.
But then again, we only know what we know.
Yeah.
And the WWE has their finger on the pulse of what the fan base at large is
and then
wanting and hoping for. So, I will.
Yeah. Bradley, why
I'm
don't you tell them what I sent you this morning about Vince McMahon?
Yeah, I think that's a bunch of bullshit. I saw that, but I saw the TikTok you sent me. There is no way in rat's hell that's going to happen. Talking that Vince McMahon is going to go to AEW, not happening.
No.
That is not happening. That is so far. That is so far off the radar. Why would you go? First of all, he's in the middle of a scandal. Why the hell, if you're Tony Khan, who, oh, by the way, and I heard this earlier today on Stevie Richards' podcast on YouTube, that Warner Brothers is separating their networks. So they're going one side sports, one side entertainment, and AEW is part of that situation. And if they're like, I don't know, $13 billion in debt or something like that, some astronomical number, AEW might end up getting their budgets cut. And because they're being aired on TNT.
Yeah, because I'm going to say this because Tony Khan doesn't know how to book.
Maybe Tony Khan needs Vince McMahon to keep his company alive because they may end up going behind a paywall, a streaming paywall. That might be what ends up happening to AEW. And if you think about it, they're more gimmicky. If you watch AEW, they're very gimmicky.
The Death Rider.
The WWE under Triple H, they're more story. They're stories. Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, that ended. You have Seth Rollins going with, now I guess Paul Heyman is called the Oracle. I guess that name is official.
Is that what they're calling him now?
Heard about that?
Really?
But I guess he's called the Oracle now. That's what they're calling him, the Oracle. I would have thought it would be Wise Man. I just, that would have been my pick for.
Well, no, I think they wanted to get away from that.
Yeah, I guess he's called the Oracle.
Yeah.
They wanted to get away from that because that's what he was called with Roman, was the Wise Man.
I got you.
Yeah.
And then now people want to say, oh, when Roman comes back, he's bringing back Brock. Brock Lesnar is never coming back.
No. Again.
He has no reason to. He's having a hell of a time in Canada on his farmland.
Yeah. Yep. Owns his daughter is a wrestler now too.
Yep. High school or college?
College.
Oh, she'll get into professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, the thing with Vince McMahon becoming part of AEW,
I don't believe it either. I think people are just trying to reach for something to get clicks and views. Like we talked about with the whole Paul Skenes or Mike Trout.
Paul Skenes for Mike Trout?
No, just trades. Those being, first of all, Mike Trout said he'll never leave Anaheim. He's already come out and said, I'm not taking a trade. I think he's got a no-trade clause in his contract anyway, so he can stop.
And then the last couple of weeks, people have been trying to make mock trades for Paul Skenes. When the GM of the Pirates already came out and said, look, he's not available.
He did say, yes.
And people are like, oh, just because he said that doesn't mean it's actually true.
Right.
It is. You would have to give up your entire team to get Paul Skenes, and that wouldn't even be enough.
Well, when you're the problem for the Pirates and anybody that would be in that Paul Skenes lottery
Well, I think if he gets the free agency, we all know where he's going to end up going. He's going to end up going to the Dodgers.
LA or New York. Maybe. It depends. There's a lot of things that can go into it. There's some. When is he an unrestricted? Is he an unrestricted free agent this year?
I think it's 2029.
Oh, that's 5 years down the road.
Yeah.
So
still the Dodgers. The Dodgers don't need any help because they're still gonna have Ohtani. They're still gonna have Sasaki, probably still gonna have Glass now. Maybe still have Snell.
Yeah.
Which Sasaki's looking like a bust of a free agent signing. But then again, it takes guys that come over from Japan a little bit of time to, unless you're Shohei Ohtani.
That's a rare exception.
Yeah, Ohtani's a rare exception.
Ohtani's a generational player. They only come along every so
often. That's like the blasphemy that's out there right now in the NHL with people saying, "Oh, Connor McDavid should be asked out of Edmonton."
Really?
Yeah, and I'm like, why? He's made it to the Stanley Cup Finals the last 2 years.
Yes.
The only reason he's lost the last 2 years is because he's had Corey Perry on his team. And it's the Corey Perry curse.
No, of course it'd be that Katy Perry. Okay.
No, Corey Perry. Thanks. I'm here all week.
Katy Perry's going through a separation with Orlando Bloom, so that's been all new on the news.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Connor McDavid can swoop in and have a Katy Perry problem too.
Yeah.
That was a joke, guys. That was a joke.
Well, Corey Perry has a cup. He won with the Ducks. So he's got one cup. So.
Yeah.
That's one more than McDavid's got.
Correct.
Well, and then people are saying, "Oh, if McDavid gets traded, it would be to Toronto. It would be to." People have said the Red Wings.
They can use
them moving before they move. I would see Ryan Nugent-Hopkins getting moved, and then keeping McDavid.
I would see Nuge getting moved first. Nugent-Hopkins getting moved first. Stuart Skinner. Because they need a goalie, and people are making the joke right now that if Carter Hart gets out of the charges that that are hanging over him from the whole thing with Team Canada and the World Juniors in 2017, 2018, that they wouldn't be surprised if the Oilers signed Carter Hart.
He hasn't played in 3. First off, he hasn't played in 3 years. Second off, that's going to stick to him like stink on a bug. So
the trade needs help.
I just can't see them.
And then the other thing is they're saying that the Lightning are gaining momentum to trading for McDavid. I don't see it.
No, they don't have the money.
No.
Well, you would have to think a package if the Lightning were going to trade for McDavid, the package would start with Braden Point.
Or Kucherov.
They said it would be Point and whatever prospects we have, and then a bunch of draft picks. Because McDavid's on the last year of his contract next year.
Well, if anything, I could see him going to Toronto because they need a cup so bad. But then again, they've had players. They have Matthews.
Well, Marner, which they're going to lose Marner.
Yeah.
And Tavares.
Maybe.
I don't think either of them are re-signing. Even though Marner, I've heard, wants a shorter-term deal like the one Matthews got.
I think until we see Mitch sign somewhere else, I think he's a belief that they've been saying that along, for a while. I watched the hockey guy, Shannon. I don't know if you guys watch his YouTube channel. He's a very insightful guy. But yeah, I think everybody wants to see Mitch Marner leave Toronto. I think if you
What the latest I've heard is he's gonna drag this. He's not gonna sign July 1st. He's gonna drag this through the whole month of July.
Well, the number one Leafs fan on YouTube is Steve Dangle. We all know that. We all
The
know
Steve Dangle Podcast Network.
Steve, like he's got blood, sweat, and tears for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But yeah,
Patriots.
he told I watched you watch his videos when the Leafs got knocked
Bring a
out.
lot of young guys.
But he said something about that it's time for them to blow it up. Brendan Shanahan got released from his job. I forget who their head coach is now in Toronto. Maybe it's time for one of those, clean the house type situations in Toronto. Because if you think about it, correct me if I'm wrong, don't they have like most of their salary cap tied up in 4 players? Marner
right now, but the cap's going up. So.
No. Marner's a free agent. And
Okay.
I'm going to make a prediction right now. He's going to leave Toronto. And y'all are probably going to look at me weird. I think he's going to the Utah Mammoth.
No.
Yes. They have the.
I think he changes addresses in the Providence and becomes an Ottawa senator just to stick it to Toronto in Ontario.
I like that.
Just
you know what? That's not a that.
Because Ottawa's young and up and coming, and Ottawa's one of those up and down teams. They've been that way the last 2 seasons. So, yeah.
Well, the cap goes up next.
Yeah.
Could you see him going to Detroit?
I could see that.
Detroit needs somebody.
I could see that. He'd fit well in Detroit.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Sure, Yzerman wouldn't mind making that
the Yzer plan.
Yzerman wouldn't mind making that deal happen.
What about Chicago? Pair him with Bedard.
I think he goes to Boston.
Ooh.
That would really stick it to Toronto.
Well, I think Boston needs to make a splash. They've had a couple of down years. They traded away all their pieces at the
you
deadline.
know what I've heard is they're thinking that Boston, because there's a couple teams in the first round that have 2 first-round picks, and the draft is tomorrow night. They're thinking Boston might trade down with one of those teams to accumulate more draft picks.
Ooh.
But I don't know if I trust Don Sweeney drafting.
Marner and Pasternak? That's dangerous.
Ooh. Well, the other one I've heard in this is Carolina.
The Hurricanes?
Marner and Svechnikov.
Okay.
Because the Burns contract is off the books. They don't have Rantanen because they traded him to Dallas. And the Stars are another team that might lose. They might lose Jason Robertson.
Speaking of the Carolina Hurricanes, do you guys think that Rob Brendamore's job is on the line this upcoming year?
No.
No. They made it to the conference semifinals last year. Yeah. So I think his job's safe.
Just asking because they keep talking about how he's kind of like, and I can use this name because I've been living in Florida. He's the Tony Dungy. He can't get them to the cup. Yeah. He gets them to the cup and they can't win the cup. So it's like,
who did I see? Joe Quenneville. Oh, Joe Quenneville got hired by Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
Ducks. Okay.
Yeah.
Could you see Marner going to the Ducks? Because they have an opening now with Zegras being traded.
Mitch,
and they're a young team
for a cup, I would think.
I think Anaheim's they're not that far off from being contenders. I think the only reason they had a really bad year last year and somehow almost still made the playoffs need I add, is because of all the injuries they had. And they've already spent money. They stole Killorn from the Lightning a couple years. I think it was 2 years ago. So I wouldn't put it past their GM to splurge and put some money down on maybe Mitch Marner or Brock Besser, who's also being linked to the Lightning.
I don't know, because the Lightning don't have a lot of draft picks. We don't have a first-round pick. I know that much.
No, Besser's going to be a free agent.
Okay.
And they're linking Besser to the Lightning.
Because I know we don't have a first-round pick in the draft. I think we're around 2.
No, and I'm glad we don't have a first-round pick this year. The draft's kind of weak. After the top 3 names,
well, that's
Schaefer, Misa, Higgins, Martone.
Well, who has the first pick? Who won the lottery?
The Islanders, and they're probably going to end up taking Matthew Schaefer unless they're stupid enough to pass on him and take a Michael Misa, which they don't need any more forward prospects. They need a defensive prospect.
The Islanders? Okay. Who has the number 2 pick behind New York? Who's picking second?
San Jose.
San Jose.
Oops.
And San Jose doesn't really need. They need a. They're in the same boat. They don't need. They don't need a defensive prospect. So
Could
they would.
Could you see the Sharks moving up and taking whoever the Islanders want off the board, stealing their pick?
No, because Schaefer's the consensus number 1 pick.
Okay.
And the Sharks, if you look at their prospect pool, they have a lot of defensive prospects. So they need to take, it would either be, my guess for them would either be Michael Misa, James Higgins, or Porter Martone. One of those 3. And then whoever doesn't go 2 is going 3. Which I think Michael Misa is going number 2. I think it's going to go Schaefer, Misa, Martone. And then it really opens up after that. And this is not a strong draft class compared to next year. Next year in the NHL and NBA, it's a strong draft class. So
I wanna say something. Nothing has to do with hockey. Whoever the piece of shit was that heckled Ketel Marte about his mom.
Oh, I see.
I saw that. Yeah,
that's stupid.
He got banned from all MLB stadiums.
He should be. That should be. I mean, first of all, we were talking earlier. You guys were talking about attacking family, not going after somebody's family. Being that I'm one of those people who lost their mom, you that's just something you don't do. You just don't do that. And I mean, if you have to go as far as going that low to antagonize somebody, you need to have your head checked. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I can say myself that I've heckled my fair share of players and umpires, but not that far.
Yeah.
Because when I was in college, I was a student manager for the softball team. And there was times I almost got thrown out of games because the umpires would turn and look at the dugout. And I knew they were looking at me because I was heckling them about the strike zone. Because there would be pitches that were like right down the middle or like a shade inside the strike zone. And they would say, no, that's a ball. I'm like, I have a good vantage point. I could clearly see that was a strike. And I almost got thrown out of a USF game for yelling at the umpire.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was standing on the railing next to the dugout, and they were playing USF. This is before Cincinnati moved to the Big 12. They were playing Cincinnati, And Cincinnati, it was a runner on first, 1 out, 2-1 count, and the batter for USF had a check swing, and the home plate umpire called it a swing. And I'm like, and I didn't think the first base umpire heard me, even though he was maybe 30 steps in front of me, not even like 10 steps in front of me. I'm like, are you kidding me? How are you not going to appeal down to first? And the second base umpire opens his mouth and says, and I quote, if you don't bleeping shut your mouth and you say one more word, I'm ejecting you from the game.
That's interesting.
I'm like,
at Red McEwen?
Yeah.
That's
yep.
interesting.
Yep. And this is when I knew like pretty much a fourth of the team. Because I would talk to the guys on social media.
I tried to get Matthew Barrington on here, and he wanted to come on. They changed managers to Mitch Hannons, who's their head coach now, and he hasn't come back on. But next year I'm going to do USF, and I'm also going to do University of Tampa, who won their
I know
championship.
I know the UT baseball coach really well.
Yeah, he's like he can part the sea. I mean, he can't do anything wrong in the city of Tampa because when USF's head coach job for baseball came up, they asked him, and he's like, "Yeah, no, yeah, no. I'm very comfortable with the Spartans. I'm going to stay right here at UT," and they won a national championship.
Well, see, the thing is, when I was a kid, I grew up with his kids. They lived in the same neighborhood as me. So you can say I go way back with Coach Urso at UT. But no, for USF, it was when they had Dylan Burns.
Okay.
Nelson Alvarez.
Yeah.
Shane McClanahan?
Yes, I did watch Shane, but he wasn't one of the ones that I was close with. It was Burnsy. It was Alvarez. And there's a couple other guys too.
Okay.
But it was a fun time watching McClanahan when he was at USF.
I didn't even know, Bud, that he even pitched for them until as you're walking in, because I park across the street in the soccer stadium parking lot and walk over, and I'm like, Shane McClanahan, that pitches for the Rays? And I'm like, he played here? I didn't know he played for USF.
There's a lot of guys. Oh, David VR was another one.
Okay.
If I had Marcus Brodell,
I think was still playing because I know he was.
Yeah, he was there. He was on the team this year.
Yeah.
If I had the roster in front of me, I could probably name Ryan Kirkering, who's now on the Phillies.
Still, yeah, I was gonna say I think he's in the majors.
He is. Yes. He might be the new closer for the Phillies, for all we know.
Are the Phillies still in first place, or
they're tied with the Mets? They got swept by the Astros.
Really? After we had our show on Tuesday?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're tied with the Mets.
And I was on TikTok before we came on, and I was listening to the Mets fan. The Phillies fan I was telling you about, Bradley, and he was whining and crying that the Mets got lucky the other day against the Braves, and that the Phillies and this is a full 180 from what I was telling you. He's like, oh, the Phillies need to sell the entire team.
I heard that. I saw that on TikTok about a month ago when they were 4 games back in the East, and they were like 8 or 10 games over 500.
Oh, so you've seen the guy I'm talking about?
Was it on TikTok?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen. I think I know which guy you're talking about. Yes, and I
Yeah, he is
comment. I was like,
so he's irritating to watch because then he makes videos on like, oh, Aaron Judge is overrated. I don't even know who Cal Raleigh is. Ellie David Cruz has
MVP.
fallen off since his rookie year. Or you pay Shohei Ohtani $800 million to pitch one inning. I don't get Phillies fans.
it's not just the problem is social media.
Yes.
And social
They
media
blow
has
it out
created
of proportion.
well social media has created hot take monsters. And because if you say something calm and rational and reasonable, nobody clicks on your video. But if you spew the most guttural
Yep.
diarrhea
Like,
dookie,
or they emphasize Juan Soto. They're like, oh, he paid a guy $800 million to bat 200 and hit 20 home runs. He hits more home runs than you probably would hit if you were in a major league batter's box.
Yeah.
he's hitting 256 with 19 bombs and 47 and 45 RBIs.
Yeah. And he's playing a decent enough right field in New York.
I mean, any moron can play right
know who
field.
it is. It's Yankees. It's Yankees fans mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're salty that he didn't stay there. It's Yankees and Phillies fans.
The Brewers. The Brewers are only 3 games back of the Cubs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really?
So are the Cardinals.
Oh yeah. Cardinals are 4.5 back. Well, Cincinnati's only 6. The Reds.
Reds are not out of it.
No, not at all.
Man, I love being the best team in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your division's not very hard at all.
They
used to be a joke.
Other than maybe the Twinkies, but
the Tigers.
We just swept the Royals, so you can thank us for that.
Tigers and the Dodgers are tied at 51 and 31. Still,
the Rays are only a game
half a game. Half a game
back of the Yankees. Which the bar I go to where I live in Crystal River, one of the bartenders is a huge Yankee fan. I'm going there tomorrow night, and I hope he's there so I can give him.
Hopefully, that they end up winning and the Yankees end up losing, and then they move into first place, and you can really stick it to them.
Yeah.
Oh, because I saw him like 4 or 5 months ago when the season first started, and the Rays lost 2 out of 3 of the Yankees at that point. And he's like, "Oh, Alec, are you worried?" I'm like, "No." And I was very upfront with him. I'm like, "No, it's the beginning of the season. I'm not worried. If it was August or September and we lost 2 out of 3, I would be panicking." I hope he's there tomorrow night so I can say, "Huh, what's going on with the Yankees? They're about to cough up first place."
The Yankees are at home tomorrow against the A's.
Come on, A's, sweep them.
Yeah, the Rays are in Baltimore. Well, that's the question too. That was a question that was posed this morning on local radio: is if the Rays get to the World Series, are they playing at Steinbrenner Field with 10,000 seats, or do they move them to a?
Well, there was something I saw on Instagram that I found interesting. Somebody made a poll and said, where should the Rays play their World Series games? And like half of them, 69 to 70% said Raymond James Stadium.
That'd be interesting.
See, the problem with that is I don't think that's going to work.
Well,
it depends. It depends on when the World Series is versus the NFL.
Here,
the NFL and the MLB could work out a deal where the Rays home games are like they swap around. Oops, that's the wrong.
Here, there's an issue with Raymond James Stadium as far as baseball goes. They would have to move back many seats off the first level to make it baseball dimensional. So, I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm not saying that
It
at
would
all.
look weird.
It would. Well, they had this. They had, and again, this is not real baseball, and I'm aware. The Savannah Bananas were there earlier this year. They played a game there. They sold it out. They sold out a 70,000 seat stadium. They sold it out. But that's not real baseball.
No, that's banana ball.
Yeah,
so
it's like
if
basketball versus baseball the Harlem Globetrotters.
If they are to play at Raymond James, yes, they'll have to make sure that the Bucks don't have any home games, during that 7-game series. So that's, and then was it like correct me if I'm wrong, guys, isn't the World Series every other day? They don't play, or do they play back-to-back days?
They
play every other day.
2, 3, 2. Well, the first 2 games are back-to-back. Then you take a day off. Then you play 3 straight. Then take a day off, and then, if necessary,
The final 2.
Like that.
So according to what I found, is that the World Series is set to begin play on October 24th and would end on the 29th.
Let's take a look at the schedule for the Buccaneers. See if that will be.
I mean, could we do a record prediction for the Buccaneers right now?
Sure. We're only 35 days away from the season starting.
Thank goodness.
If you wouldn't mind, Bradley.
Go right ahead, bud. Go right ahead. Yeah, go right ahead.
Well, can you pull up their schedule?
I'm doing it right now.
What are the dates again, bud, for the World Series? What were the dates again?
The 25th through the 29th.
Are you ready for this? They could pull that off. They have a road game in New Orleans on the 26th, and it's their bye week. Then they play the Patriots at home on November 9th. So they could get the stadium all reset back up for the game against the Patriots on November 9th at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
So yeah,
they can figure it out.
Yeah.
That could work. Absolutely.
Sure. Okay, so you have the schedule, Adam?
I have the schedule, yep. The Bucks open up on September 7th. It's a 1 o'clock kick in Atlanta.
When?
Then they go to.
Well, what are y'all gonna say? So I said when. Everybody has to.
We'll go to Brad.
Yeah, I'll say win.
I say win because I don't trust Atlanta's offense.
No.
Then they head to Houston to face the Texans. That's a 7 o'clock kick.
Monday night.
Yep.
When? Actually, no. I'm gonna say loss.
I say toss up. I think that could go either way. Too early to tell.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Back-to-back.
Then they're at home again. So the home opener is week 3 against the Jets.
When?
Okay.
When, as much as I love Justin Fields, I'm going win for the Buccaneers.
I'm a friend.
I'm leaning towards toss-ups.
Why? Because it's a new regime in New York.
Because I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know who the Jets are gonna be yet. I haven't seen them in the preseason yet. And it's a week 3 game after back-to-back road games on a shorter week. With the Eagles coming into town the next week, I see that as a trap game.
Yeah, I can see them being 1-2. Eagles is going to be.
They could be 2-2 after the first 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I can see 2-2.
I think you can live with 2-2. I think 2-2
Yeah.
after 4 is not.
Reasonable. It's doable.
I see 3 very reasonable, very winnable games. And that Eagles game being a litmus test early in the season at the quarter pole, because I think it really, again, it's so early without having any preseason played yet, without OTAs, or just after OTAs, without mini camps yet. It's hard to say where anybody is. And if you've got the list, you can go ahead and run it, Brad. I'll be right back.
No problem, bud. Yeah, I got it right here. So then they head on the road to Seattle to play the Seahawks.
Loss.
Again,
yeah. I
it
don't
depends
know.
on which Sam Darnold we get.
I was gonna say, I don't.
Sam Darnold is a joke.
He's a Jets fan. He can tell you that.
Yeah,
he's a Jets fan.
He's a turd.
Well, it depends on Seattle gave away a lot in the offseason. They let DK Metcalf go to Pittsburgh. They brought in Sam Darnold, but which Sam Darnold are you getting? Are you getting 2024 Vikings Sam Darnold, or are we getting seeing go Sam Darnold? That's really going to be the big question.
I think we get 2024 Sam Darnold.
And if you get 2024 Sam Darnold, he could play. If they can run the ball and play decent defense, where they don't ask him to win games, he can very easily win 10 games up in Seattle.
I agree with that. I agree.
Yeah. Who's after Seattle?
They're home against the 49ers.
That's a win.
That's a win. San Francisco lost a lot.
And do you know, as of right now, do you know the line in that game?
13.
How about the Buccaneers are favored by 1.5 points?
Whoa.
What?
Interesting.
1.5.
1.5 is.
I like the. I like that action.
That's the ESPN spread app. That's the ESPN app. ESPN bet. That's who they have it at. 1.5 with the total of 48 and a hook. They got 48 and a hook in the over under.
I'd take the 48 and a hook in a heartbeat.
You're giving me 1.5 on the Bucks to win.
Yeah.
At 48.5, I'm taking the Bucks. I'll take the Bucks, the money line, and the under on the spread.
Okay. The next game is their second Monday night game. This will probably be the next test, other than the Eagles, and that's in Detroit against the Lions. That will be a test because, again, we don't know as of right now. There's been no preseason ball yet, but the line there as of right now is Detroit 3.5, the over under 49 and a hook. So I think I'd take the over. I think those teams can both put up points in that game.
The thing about Detroit going into this year, and it's going to be the new regime, kind of like the Jets. Oh wait, is Dan Campbell actually a genius, or was it Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn? Was he a genius that found 2 great coordinators that got turned into head coaches, or was he a figurehead that had 2 great coordinators that turned into head coaches?
We'll see.
And that's to me what really remains to be seen in Detroit. I mean, that offense should be that they returned all the key starters. They maintain continuity on the offensive line, even though the center retired. Name's skipping my mind. Amon-Ra and Mo. God, I can't remember the other receiver's name. They're both back. That backfield is intact. Penny Sewell is still on the right side.
Hutch is back.
Gibbs and
Montgomery.
Thank you. Are in the backfield. Hutch is back and is 100%.
I mean, the problem with Hutchinson though is are you going to get a healthy season out of him?
Yeah.
And he doesn't have any.
I think you do.
But
if he
you
doesn't
don't
have a
have
freak leg injury.
you don't have anybody on the other side to, because teams are gonna. There's gonna be teams that try to double team Aiden Hutchinson. So that would open up somebody else on the other side, which they don't really have anybody else on the other side to rush the passer.
And that's what your coordinator is there for. Your D coordinator. He's got to build a game plan to utilize the other personnel that is available to him. If you're gonna double Hutch on the offensive right side, defensive left, you're gonna take Hutch away. Turn my camera back on because I stepped away.
What about
If you're gonna take Hutch, if you take Hutch away, then that's you've got to bring pressure from the other side, which is gonna lead. It should be 4 on. If you have a standard 4-man front, if you have a 4-4-3, you can and you trust your corners to leave them on islands. You can bring that extra linebacker on the right side.
what about Miles Adams or Marcus Davenport?
I mean, it would be. I'd be easier if I just did. There they are.
I went on their. I'm going on their. I'm on ESPN. I'm on the roster for the Lions. I mean, they have a bunch of defensive ends. I'm just wondering. Miles Adams is in his 4th year at Rice. Davenport's his 8th year at a UTSA. So I'm wondering if you. And they drafted Ahmad Hassan. Am I pronouncing that last name correctly? Out of Boise State. Yeah, I mean, if they double team Hutch, you do have to.
The big boy in the middle.
Yeah, who's the big boy in the middle?
Miles Adams.
Okay, I got him. Okay.
Ollie McNeil.
Alonze, you can bring him. Elaine McNeil. You can bring Alonze on the blitz.
You got good linebackers because
Jack Campbell.
Alex is it Aloni?
Anzalone.
Yeah.
Former Gator.
Who could be Louis, but
yeah, Jack Campbell. Campbell was down here. I'm just going down. I'm looking at
I would say they've got 4 or 5 edge guys that are probably in camp right now.
And then your cornerback room.
Quite a few corners I see already.
ESPN gives the Lions a 63% chance to win over the Bucks.
I would say that's going to be a loss.
And again, we don't know who's going to be healthy, who's going to be hurt, who's going to be available, who's going to be limited,
right?
Who's going to have the flu that week and isn't going to be feeling 100% and not be able to get after it on a play or two. And, what dumb mistake somebody's going to make and pick up a 15-yard personal foul or some dumb shit that costs you the game.
Dumb shit.
The one player that I'm interested to see the Bucks is Ibuke, their first overall pick.
Former Ohio State Buckeye.
I'm interested to see how he fits because you're not going to have
Cohen.
No.
Godwin.
Yes, you're not going to have Chris Godwin. Thank you. You're not going to have Godwin out of the. They said that he may come back in the middle of the season because, again, he's recovering from an injury. You have, of course, Mike Evans, who probably be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Probably be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And you still have who's the kid that they drafted last year?
McMillan.
McMillan. Yeah. You have him. The one position that the Bucks have lacked.
Tight end.
Thank you. I was just about to say that since Gronk left is tight end. You have blocking tight ends, but not catching tight ends, or the other way around. Maybe I'm thinking the other way around. I'm trying to think of.
Otten is a decently good receiving tight end, but
He's more of a block
Keith,
tight end. Yeah.
Keith is more of a blocking tight end, and so is Payne Durham. And
Yeah.
I can attest to that because I watch a lot of Big Ten football, and and Adam does too. And we've both seen Payne Durham when he was at Purdue. He did a lot of blocking at Purdue.
Yeah, I think that's the position. Because in the backfield you have White and Bucky, so that's not going to be a problem. And again, but there's the thing too. If anything happens to Baker, they're done. They're done. Just that way, they're done. Because
I think that's 95% of the teams in the league.
Yeah, they're.
I mean, you wouldn't trust Kyle Trask.
No. No. First of all, there's no good quarterbacks that come out of Florida. Name one that had a successful NFL career. Zero.
I mean, you could say that it's like me with Ohio State. People say, "Oh, Ohio State is quarterback you." I mean, the only good quarterbacks we've had, other than I'm taking CJ Stroud out of it, we really haven't had any good quarterbacks that have had successful
careers in the NFL.
Maybe Troy Smith, but that was it.
Was he really
Dwayne Haskins? Dwayne Haskins, I think if he didn't end up,
if he would have had a
whatting himself, and he was in Pittsburgh. I actually think he was turning a corner in his career, and I think he would have had a decently successful career with the Steelers. Because Tomlin knows how to keep quarterbacks out of trouble. Unless your name's Ben Roethlisberger.
I'm curious to see how he gets along with Aaron Rodgers. I'm curious to see how that relationship's going to be.
I think it'll be good.
Yeah. Did you see what Rodgers had to say on the? Did you see what Rodgers had to say in the Pat McAfee show?
No, I didn't. What did he say?
He basically went on a tangent and said that the media, like us, we need to stay out of his business. We need to not expose that he's married, which nobody knew he was married until he said it on the Pat McAfee show the other day.
I didn't care that he was married.
I don't care that he's married either. I'm sorry. And then he said that he's for sure that this is his last season.
Yeah, we've heard that before though.
Okay.
Oh no, he was when he said it to McAfee the other day. I was listening to the interview. He sounded very, very confident that this was actually his last season.
Good for him. That means he retires after this year. What is it? 7 years? You got to be out of the league to be in the Hall of Fame. Five. Okay, so 2030, he'll be eligible for the Hall of Fame.
I know what y'all say. I don't think he's first ballot Hall of Famer.
I don't.
Right.
I mean,
he's a Hall of Famer though, but he's not first ballot.
I think he goes. He'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He won't be like 100%. He'll be 84%, but he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He's got the numbers. He's got a chip. He's got 4 MVPs.
Yep.
Aside from his ego and his personality being what they are, you can't argue. There are guys with lesser stats that have gone in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Well, do you think? Here's another one. I'll throw this name out there. Aaron Donald. Is he going to be a Hall of Famer?
He's one that I could see slipping out of the first round, or first ballot, and being a second ballot Hall of Famer. I think, but yeah, I think he'll be. I just don't think he has. It's the longevity that's going to hurt him in the end. The fact he retired early.
What about going to coaches? What about Sean McVay?
Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
Too early.
Sean
He's got
McVay's
the
got one great memory. The guy can remember plays. So yeah, I would say too early for him. McVay,
what about, and this might ruffle some feathers, and I'm looking at you, Adam. What about Matthew Stafford?
Oh,
100%.
Yeah. Stafford.
Yeah.
If you're going to put Roger, if Roger goes in as a first ballot Hall of Famer, then Stafford, I mean, the only thing that separates is that Stafford played on those shitty Detroit teams. I mean, if Stafford had to have the ownership group that Green Bay had and had to put a winning roster around him, he would have won 4 MVPs. The big problem for Stafford was that so much of his he was already down by 3 scores in the fourth quarter. He wasn't battling to win. He was just out there playing his guts out because that's what football players do. And it's unfortunate for him. The second he goes to LA and they've got a team around him that, an ownership group that gives a shit. And what does he do? He goes, wins the chip.
Mm-hmm.
Is Mike Tomlin going to Tomlin his way into the Hall of Fame?
Toss up.
I mean, don't lose 18 years, no losing seasons and a title.
Yeah, I would say he's in.
Roethlisberger?
Yeah, Big Ben will be in.
And first ballot.
Palomalu will definitely be a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Is he not already in already?
I
don't know. Good question.
I don't know. Well, did y'all see where Antonio, Mr. CTE himself, Antonio Brown, filed for bankruptcy?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's got bigger problems than bankruptcy.
Yes.
He's got, he does.
Troy's in. He was in.
Yeah, Troy went in 2020.
Yeah, he's in 20. Yeah. He's in there. Troy's in.
But what were you saying about Antonio Brown, Adam?
I said he's got bigger problems than. He's got more problems than just money.
Oh yeah, he's wanted for attempted murder.
Arrested.
He has, and I think we've said this before. He hasn't been the same since Brontez Burfict.
Yes.
Absolutely laid him out in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. No, he's the dirtiest hit of all time.
Yep.
It was, but I mean, I would also say all the times that Brady put Julian Edelman out in the middle of the field. And Bradley can attest, he's a Patriots fan. All the times Brady put Edelman in danger, or Wes Welker.
I don't care how often he did it. Edelman came up with one of the best catches in Super Bowl history against Atlanta. So I would agree with that. But then
the 28-3 choke job that Atlanta had.
That's the position.
Comeback of all time.
I think the hit on Brown, Burfict was they were just frustrated. Because the Bengals were so close to beating Pittsburgh, and they could never do it. They never could do it. Pac-Man Jones, another one that was 30 hits. But Adam, I guess Pac-Man Jones is doing pretty well. I think I heard not too long ago he's got a successful something he's doing in his career. So he didn't let.
I think it's a podcast.
I was going to say I think he's got his own show.
Doesn't he play games?
I believe he does.
I believe he does.
Gaming podcaster, yeah.
Yeah. Just remember, guys.
Well, and then I think he's got a son now that's about to be in college.
Yeah. And remember, guys,
that plays football.
Yeah.
Which, oh boy. Hopefully he doesn't go down the same road that his papa went down.
He's been a TNA world champion, tag team world champion.
Yeah.
He's in a feud right now with oh shoot. AEW. Oh my god, I'm gonna think of his name. Well, who's the champ in AEW right now?
AEW.
Or was it what
TNA. He wrestled with Ron Killings in TNA.
Okay. Trick Williams is the champion now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trick.
He's got a podcast now. When Chris he adopted Chris Henry's kids. When Chris Henry died, I did not know that.
You know what I just saw earlier today on I think it was TikTok.
Yeah.
Alex Riley went on the Chris Van Vliet podcast, and he was talking about how he brought up Cena and how Cena, I guess, hated him with a passion. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it usually turns out.
And that's why that's why Alex Riley's push got canceled. Was because of Cena.
Interesting.
Yep.
Wow.
Those were the good old days of WWE, though.
Yes.
When you had the whole R-Truth, John Cena, and Miz, their whole
Little Jimmy.
Really? Riley? Really? Riley? Jimmy? I can't tell you how many times I watched that back on YouTube.
All the time, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hilarious. And then I also watch him, R-Truth, when he was 24/7 champ, and how Carmella would always hide him somewhere. So he wouldn't lose the 24/7 title. But those were at that point, it was the COVID era of wrestling.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh, when Drew comes back, he should win a title. Drew doesn't need to be anywhere near a title.
Nah, I think I've told you about this before, but I never liked Drew McIntyre.
I don't either. I think, and Drew wants to call CM Punk a hypocrite. Drew's the hypocrite.
Yeah, I never thought
Drew is insufferable to watch. Especially his run that he did before he got hurt, where he was whining and complaining about losing, and then how he thought he got screwed over at WrestleMania because Damian Priest cashed in his Money in the Bank, and how he was obsessed with Punk for a whole year. I tell you, right now, the three people that are insufferable to watch: Drew, Becky Lynch,
yes,
and Solo.
The only one I'll disagree with is Becky. I don't know. I haven't seen much of her since her return to TV, so I can't say too much about it. But Solo and Drew, 100% agree.
Becky's gonna win 2 belts again.
That's the
Can y'all see Becky? I mean, can y'all see Lyra turning heel and joining Becky again?
Possibility.
Maybe.
I have to say, this is what I guess at the end of the day, this is what I think about all of it, and it's something that I think about when what John Cena said when he turned heel finally back in whatever April or whatever it was, is it's what's best for business, and I think at the end of the day, the WWE is going to do what they think is best for business. They're going to push who they think is going to sell the most merch, get the most eyes on Netflix, and fill the stadiums that they host events at.
Which in this case right now, that would be Karrion Kross.
Yes.
But
they should put a title on Karrion.
I think that there's part, and again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about the thumb on the pulse of the WWE, the larger WWE universe, is that they can't just push social media superstars, guys that are good on interviews, guys that are good on podcasts. What I would love to see Karrion Kross get a push, but if Karrion Kross's merch isn't moving, if Karrion Kross isn't going to fill stadiums, he's not going to get a push. I that's the unfortunate thing about sports entertainment, is that it's all script, as we know, it's scripted. It's yes. Television, and it's not like you can go out there and just be a great wrestler and just win matches, because if they don't book you to win, you're not going to win. And so even if Karrion Kross were to have these great matches, if they don't book him in matches, if they don't push him as a superstar, which is something that I've been complaining about for going on a decade now, is the fact that they don't push new guys. They don't push mid-card stars. It's something that under the Triple H regime that I thought they've done better is mixing in new faces, fresh faces, whatever those are, fresh fishes.
Yeah, like Jacob Fatu, Penta, Ray Phoenix,
Solo Sikoa.
So I'm sorry,
it's fine. You don't have to love him, but he's different. No. He's new. He's not Randy Orton and John Cena for the millionth time.
A valid point. It's not. I say he's insufferable, and the reason I'll explain.
And I don't disagree with you, bro. I 100% agree with you.
Right.
It's just and I'm glad Jacob broke away from him. Because Solo, he can be funny, but he can also be really irritatingly annoying.
I completely agree. But the thing about, but again, at the end of the day, if the WWE thinks that Solo Sikoa, if a minority of fans, a local minority of fans on social media are saying we hate Solo, but Solo is selling $1 million worth of merch every month, then we can cry and whine and throw the biggest temper tantrums we want, and get on our social medias and say we hate Solo and we want it written off TV, or get on our social medias and write we want Brock, or whatever we might say, and the WWE is going to fall on deaf ears, because and it goes to the Ron Killings R-Truth. If you don't think that was scripted from the jump, you're a mark.
Right.
I completely believe that it was scripted. I don't think they were. I don't think they actually released him. I think it was done as part of his story.
So that they could bring. When they release, okay. I'll give the marks the benefit of the doubt. They released R-Truth. R-Truth was released. Ron Killings was never released. They as soon as R-Truth was released, I mean, with heavy air quotes, R-Truth, they signed Ron Killings, and me want R-Truth chance, and then R-Truth coming back. It's all part of the show. And I 100% believe
we're just, Triple H, as Triple H likes to say, enjoy the ride.
Yes, because
are you enjoying the show?
Exactly. Are you enjoying the show?
Yes.
And when Triple H said that, he had a smile on his face
shit-eating grin.
because he knows that it was all a work. That they released R-Truth, but they didn't release Ron Killings. And I honestly like that Ron Killings is back. This is the more serious R-Truth. Don't get me wrong. I loved R-Truth, the comedic character, but this is my first time really seeing Ron Killings that we saw on like TNA and when he was on the independent scene. And from the little bit I've seen, I like it. And I wish there was more. I wish more of these people that either come back to WWE or that are in WWE right now would do the same thing he's doing. And they get released and then they come back by their real name.
Yeah.
So like Karrion Kross, his real name is, I don't know what his real name is, but
it's like Chris something, isn't it?
I believe. If he ever got released again, he should come back by his real name. Or like Roman Reigns. Well, you know what? They would never release Roman, but maybe he could come back. When he comes back, he could come back with his real name, Joe on Hawaii.
Kevin Keyser is Karrion Kross's real name.
Yeah.
Kesar is his last name.
Yeah. Karrion's better. Karrion's better.
Or Killer Kross.
I like Killer
Kross.
Do you think Roman would ever come back by his real name?
No, because you couldn't separate him. It's one thing like
there's too many. There's too many on Hawaii's. You got Roman.
Roman couldn't come back as himself because
here's my thing. What gimmick when he returns? What gimmick does he come back as? Does he come back as the tribal chief, or is that because he's been saying that's retired?
Yeah,
and I think the tribal chief, the head of the table, those storylines, those gimmicks, if you will, if they qualify as gimmicks, they kind of run their course.
They're done. So what do you think he comes back as now? Maybe does he run it back and go back to like an OG, maybe big dog gimmick again?
He can rerun the big dog gimmick, come back and be a bully, come back and have a heel run.
Well, no, he's coming back as a babyface.
You think so?
Yeah. He hit the first time he returned. He came back as a babyface. So I would assume that's what he's coming back as.
It'd be kind of cool to see him come back in his Shield gear.
Yeah.
To stick it to Seth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would
be. And you know what I've been hearing is he's gonna come back with two other people. One of them maybe being Punk, and then I've heard Brock. I've heard the Usos. I've heard maybe somebody from NXT.
I'm hearing rumors that Roman will be back to SummerSlam.
I've heard that he might be back at Night of Champions.
That Saturday?
Yeah.
How about
the original plan was he was supposed to be back before Money in the Bank.
How about Roman comes back with, say, Obafemi or somebody like that?
Oba's still the champion in NXT, and I don't think they want him up on the main roster yet.
I'm just thinking if Seth's got Bron
Maybe
Breakker and Bronson Reed.
here's one. Maybe Jasper Troy, who won whatever the show was that was on A&E, LFG. He was the LFG winner. Maybe Jasper Troy. Even though Jasper Troy just started in NXT. So Jasper Troy to combat the power of Bronson Reed, and then maybe you bring in and this is outside the box thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a AJ Francis, who's in TNA, who went by top dollar in WWE. Maybe they bring him in, or I believe he's a free agent right now. Maybe Jack Perry. Because Jack Perry's all of a sudden just disappeared from Bradley. You can back me up on this. Jack Perry hasn't been on AEW in months.
That's because Khan can't book people.
Wow.
That's because Tony Khan doesn't know how to book.
Yeah. No, he hasn't.
And that's why all these guys are leaving AEW and coming back to WWE.
Well, I can tell you who it's not going to be.
It's not going to be John Moxley.
No, of course not. No, I was going to make a joke about it not being New Jack.
Oh.
Okay, sorry, that was a joke.
Oh, no, I know who you mean, Jack Swagger.
No, New Jack. Right? You know who I'm talking about, right?
I do.
Okay.
Who?
Mass transit. The mass transit incident.
Yeah.
If you don't.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
No, he died in 21, so that's.
Yeah.
That's fine.
We obviously know it's not going to be Moxley because he's already.
He just signed.
That door is closed.
He just signed a new big contract.
He just signed a new contract with AEW, but people want to say, "Oh, that door's always open." All Triple H needs to do is make a phone call to Tony Khan and say, "Can we have John Moxley for one night?"
Yeah.
I think, and as much as I despise Tony Khan, I think Tony Khan would hang up the phone immediately.
I think he takes that call. He listens and he laughs his ass off and hangs up.
I think the only way they get that done is if it's Nick Khan calling Tony.
No,
I'm sorry. I think Tony Khan listens to Nick and says, "Okay, we'll give you Moxley for one night, but you got to give us somebody for one night."
CM Punk. It'd be Punk.
Yeah.
Either Punk or maybe Cody Rhodes.
Yeah. I think it's. But again, it's not happening. Because
you give us the Young Bucks and Moxley for one night.
That's not. Again, this would be like Sting and Goldberg appearing on the Monday on Raw in '99.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. It's like
I know. It's a thing you fantasy book for, but it's never gonna happen.
You can fantasy book till the cows come home, and I love fantasy booking, and we do it all the time here on this show. Where we've been doing it all night, but it just ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen.
No, unless.
The only way I could see it happening is if Tony Khan were to reach out to Triple H
or Nick and say, "Look, we'll give you Moxley, but we'll give you Moxley for a short period of time, but in return, we want somebody back for a short period of time."
Punk or
Punk or Cody. or one of the guys in NXT, Ethan Page.
Right.
I think Ricky Saints would still be in AEW right now if Tony Khan knew how to book. We wouldn't be seeing Ricky Saints in NXT.
Would it be crazy for them to say, you get Moxley, we get Joe Hendry?
I wouldn't do that, dude.
I would hang up the phone in that case.
I wouldn't either, but I'm just saying.
No.
Hey,
But you asked. I would. I just.
How about hold up? I got a scenario for you.
Okay.
WWE. So Tony Khan calls up Nick and says, "We'll give you Moxley for 3 months. You give us Cody Rhodes or CM Punk for 3 months." And then he calls up NXT or TNA and says, if he calls up NXT and it's Shawn Michaels, he says, you give me Ricky Saints for a 3-month run, and I'll give you MJF for 3 months.
JF.
Yeah.
Because MJF can't seem to keep the Miz's name out of his mouth.
Could you see what about Moxley coming to WWE for 3 months?
Miz.
Well, Miz is retired.
No, he's not. Not yet.
Yes, he is.
Miz.
Yeah, he retired.
Yeah.
When?
Like 2-3 weeks ago on Raw or SmackDown. I don't remember which one it was, but him and his wife were out. He announced his retirement.
Are you sure you're not talking about somebody else? Because I'm pretty sure the Miz is still an active wrestler on SmackDown.
It says right here, there's no official announcement of the Miz's retirement from the WWE. His contract is reportedly expiring this year. Some speculation it may end in July. So yes, it looks like he is going to be stepping away. If that's what we were getting at, but yeah.
Then here's what I would do. I would say you give us Moxley, we'll give you Miz for 3 months, and you can keep Miz. And then he calls up TNA and says, you give us the Hardy Boys for 3 months, and we'll give you we'll give you the Don Callis family.
Yeah.
That seems like a fair, and I leave NXT doesn't get touched.
It says that the Miz, that they're trying to get the Miz as part of John Cena's retirement tour.
Maybe I just saw an old clip then.
Miz versus Cena?
Yes. Because the rivalry that they had wasn't the Miz part of
he was not part of Nexus.
I was gonna say, was he part of Nexus?
No, that was Wade Barrett, David Otunga,
Daniel Bryan,
Justin Gabriel. I'm drawing a blank. There was Otunga, Gabriel, Heath Slater. And that was it. That was the original Nexus. Then you had CM Punk's Nexus, which was the straight edge. Which was straight edge society. Do you think Punk will ever form another group?
No,
I think he's too good solo. He's too good of a solo.
There's just this problem. The problem is that so many of those guys are too old to really put in the work and trying to do a tag team again, or trying to form another group. No, I think there's very few guys that are left that could form a new group. And that's really the reason why I was trying. That was part of my idea behind, Randy taking a couple of young bucks under his wing, and creating new stars, pushing some of the underused guys.
Yeah, like Austin Theory.
Mm-hmm.
Austin Theory. I would have said Giovanni Vinci, but Giovanni Vinci got released.
You know who I'm sad they couldn't keep it straight, keep it up clean is Matt Riddle.
Oh, he had issues with drugs.
Mm-hmm.
I think Matt's on the independent circuit now, if I'm not mistaken.
You know what? If he can clean himself up,
Yes.
I think he should get another shot in WWE.
I agree.
And I would say the same thing about
he's
Ryback,
almost-
but Ryback can't wrestle anymore because he's got
Shoulder issues.
shoulder issues that he talks about all the time on his YouTube and his Twitch.
His food review. He does food reviews
Mhm.
in Vegas. I watch all the time, so I can say that I'm one of those that watches him. So yeah,
I watch his videos sometimes too.
yeah.
I've seen clips.
Yeah.
You know,
Speaking of
it's
you guys, one of the people that just came back, Asuka's back. I like that.
No, it is.
He's been out for a while.
They're teasing maybe down the line, maybe SummerSlam, Asuka versus Io Sky.
that would be excellent.
Yep, I
Book
agree.
it right now. Book it right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I book it right now.
Io Sky.
For the amount of hate she gets because she can't speak good English, I don't understand.
A lot of people
Io Sky, when she was feuding with Rhea and Bianca Belair, I can't remember.
Well, what do you think they do with Bailey and Lyra and Becky? Is that going to become a triple threat match at like SummerSlam?
Yeah.
Whatever they want with it, they can make it a Braun Panties match for all I care.
I
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
I liked Io Sky when she jumped off the top of the cage at War
with
Games
the trash can.
Trash can on.
That was an
that
excellent
wild.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Who was the third? It was her and Rhea, and who was the third?
Bianca Belair.
Okay, thank you. That was
And
right.
Bianca's due back soon. She broke her finger at WrestleMania.
Okay, thank you.
And Naomi is Miss Money in the Bank, right?
Well, and you know what I heard about Naomi? They're saying she might fail her cash in.
Oh.
I don't see that cheapens the Money in the Bank. If you win the Money in the Bank, it should guarantee you a belt. I'm sorry, I think that if you don't win the belt, then what's the point of putting Money in the Bank? It makes winning the Money in the Bank worth less.
Oh.
Because if you don't win the belt, then what's the point of entering the Money in the Bank?
Yeah.
I think if she does fail, she's still gonna win the title at some point. Because you can't keep the belt on Tiffy time.
And I never really cared for Trish. What is her name?
Charlotte.
No, Tiffy time.
Tiffany
Stratton.
Tiffany Stratton. I almost said Trish Stratus, and I knew that was wrong.
Yeah.
I've never really cared for Nia. I think Nia is just a big, whining, crying baby.
Without a doubt.
Nia should have been in the bloodline, honestly.
And the bloodline didn't have any female members?
No.
Yeah, not that I really know. It's all been dudes.
No. I mean, at one point they were talking about Tamina being in the bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
Which, where is she? She hasn't been released yet.
Well, again, it goes back to what I was saying about the groups. Is that if you have, think how many stars the WWE has signed? 80, give or take? No, between the brands. And everybody's getting, and unfortunately for your for your non-supers, for your non-main eventers. Let me put it that way. For your non-main eventers, you're left at the kids' table on Thanksgiving, waiting to be served. Because you're not, if you're not a main event guy, and this is something that I complained about, and I from what you guys were talking about AEW, that they don't know, nobody seems to know how to book mid cards anymore. Nobody knows, it's all it's feast or famine. It's top guys. It's Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, John Cena, Seth Rollins. But the guys get, LA Knight gets left out in the cold. Bronson.
Well, you know what?
Breaker.
I think LA Knight
He's
is
getting
going to
Nakamura.
be. Well, Nakamura's probably going to get let go after his contract's up, but LA Knight, Jacob Fatu, Jimmy J, and all the guys in NXT. I think they're the next generation of Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed.
Yeah.
I think they're going to lead us into the new, I don't want to say new era, but next generation of
the new generation.
The new generation of stars.
Yeah.
After Roman hangs it up, Cody,
Randy.
Cena, Randy, which people are still on the boat that they want Cody to turn heel. It's not going to happen. He's too over right now.
Well, and I think, and the problem is that they don't have any mid card booking. You don't have guys like Karrion Kross wrestling in the 9 o'clock slot. You need to be building stars. You need to be building the mid card and the superstars, having great mid card matches.
I mean, SmackDown does a decent job of it.
I don't watch a lot of SmackDown. I'm a Raw guy. Raw's always been my favorite.
I watch both.
I'm more of a SmackDown person.
Lewis, dude, does SmackDown does it? I'm not gonna say excellent job, but they do a good job of booking.
Yes,
mid card, especially the U.S. title scene with Jacob Fatu, Solo, which that's gonna be a match at Night of Champions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna say it right now. There's gonna be some shenanigans in that match.
Of course.
That's the one I could see Roman coming. If Roman's coming back on Saturday night, that's the one I see Roman getting involved in.
Who in helping Jacob win?
Screwing them both, man. I think if he comes back, he attacks both of them because they both screwed him at Mania, if I remember right. And I don't think
they didn't screw him. Heyman screwed him.
That's right.
Heyman screwed him and Punk.
Well, Brett screwed Brett, so I mean, No, I could see Roman getting involved in spearing them both and laying them both out and leaving.
Or spearing Solo.
Spearing Solo and giving Fatu a Superman punch and leaving.
What did Jacob do to him now? Jacob didn't really Jacob didn't do anything now. And that's the other rumor I've heard is that he's going to come back, help Jacob win, and then Jacob's going to side with him. Because Roman's a baby face.
I just think it makes for good theater. I mean, that's what I'm here for is good theater. It's just good business. I think it's more fun. I think it's more fun if he lays them both out and just like his music hits, the crowd goes crazy, he comes out. You think
then they're saying that Jacob, when Tongaloa and Tamatanga come back, they're gonna side with Jacob, and then Solo's gonna bring in Hikuleo.
He hits.
He hits. The problem with Solo is he gets too comfortable when he has.
You can't do that.
When he has, like right now, he has JC Mateo, and I feel like he's getting too comfortable with JC Mateo, and JC Mateo is going to end up screwing him over somehow. And I feel like the Tongans are going to do the same thing. They're going to side with Solo for like a week or two, and then they're going to figure out, oh, Solo's just screwing us over. He's not helping us at all. And then they're going to end up siding with Jacob Fatu. Or people are throwing out there, maybe it's Zilla that's coming back with Roman.
Maybe.
Could y'all see that? Could you see that, Brad? Could you see Zilla coming back with Roman?
Yeah, I mean, if Roman comes back, he's gonna have to bring some guys with him.
Muscle with him.
The only issue is Zilla's still got titles, and he's on the indie scene, and he's apparently feuding with Booker T.
Yeah.
And Booker T's own wrestling promotion.
Booker T on commentary on the next team.
Yep. I wish they would have called Booker T up with Stephanie Vicaire. And Bradley, Brad, you know why I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Because Booker loves her.
That's the reason.
Booker T has a very interesting line that he uses when she's in a match. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Booker T, he got, when he came from WCW, he's one of WCW's main stars there towards the end for the shit hit the fan in WCW, but
right,
he had a good
really given the opportunity that he should have been given when he came to the WWE. He was an R&B and all that stuff, and he should have been given more time to grow and be what he was for WCW.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, and then he had a good run-in with Stone Cold.
Mm-hmm.
The what was it? Something Brawl. Supermarket.
Supermarket Bash.
Brawl. When him and Booker T got in a fight in a grocery store. Was it Booker T and Stone Cold? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
It may have been. I don't remember, because Austin was all over the place.
Yeah, Supermarket Brawl.
Yeah.
It was Stone Cold, Kurt Angle, Y2J. Okay, let's. Shut up. Leave me alone. Yes, it was.
I thought it was Booker T and Stone Cold. Because I remember watching clips on YouTube of it.
Stone Cold. Yep, versus Booker T in the Supermarket.
Booker T did have some good promos, though. Especially with Cena.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Kurt Angle and John Cena. The rap battle.
Yeah.
Oh, Angle was a different. He was a different customer.
I never cared for Kurt Angle.
I think one of the best moments with Kurt was the milk truck.
Milkomania.
He sprang the alliance with milk. That was beautiful. That was
who was in the alliance? Stone Cold,
Steph,
Triple H.
Yeah, it was. I forget. It was all the WCW and ECW guys were all in that alliance, and
Kurt Angle came out of the milk truck and just.
Yeah. Well, then if you remember how that match ended, Kurt turned on Stone Cold and hit him with the belt, and Rock did the rock bottom and then won the match. So Kurt Angle screwed the alliance out of a win at, I forget what pay-per-view that was. What pay-per-view that was the whole match with, but yeah, he screwed he hit Stone Cold with the belt. Was like, oh,
Raven.
and then The Rock did the rock bottom.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sure did.
I mean, The Rock was good with promos too.
One of the best.
It doesn't matter what your name is. My
it doesn't.
favorite one is when Devon was trying to, when the Dudley Boys were having a promo battle against The Rock, and Devon was trying to tell The Rock his name, and The Rock's like, it doesn't matter what your name is.
What her name is?
Devon has his own channel on YouTube, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I read the other day, and I don't know if I believe this. The Dudley Boys want one more mini run in WWE.
I've heard them talking about it.
And they said they want one more match with the Usos.
I've heard them talk about wanting to come back and have one more mini run. Yeah.
And kind of mentor the younger tag teams.
One.
Which, I mean, the Raw tag team division could use a little refresh.
Yes.
They can use an injection of life, but I mean,
because right now the only tag teams you have on Raw are the Judgment Day, New Day, War Raiders, and that's it.
are the Motor City Machine Guns over on
SmackDown.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they're talking about having a WWE draft.
Right.
What?
When? Like, we need it now. Get us some fresh. And then they're talking about swapping the belts, putting WWE title on Raw and putting World Heavyweight Championship over on SmackDown. Can y'all see them doing that?
Yeah, I could.
Who do you see Rollins cashing in on when he does?
John Cena.
Oh yeah. Oh my nephew, I hate that.
I've seen Seth say he's not going to do that. He's going to cash in on whoever the world heavyweight champion is.
Goldberg.
Or Gunther. Gunther does not deserve to be champion. They did Jay dirty.
They did that so that Goldberg would come back for the dream match. I don't think he'd come back just to have a regular.
You mean
match.
his retirement match? Supposedly,
with Gunther, he had to have a title, so they gave it to Gunther. I hope Jay gets it back. I really do. That's what I hope.
They did him dirty. Jay deserves to be champion, and so does Jimmy. Jimmy for U.S. champ.
I was gonna say Jimmy. Yeah, absolutely. I could see him being the U.S. champion.
Yeah,
that could work. Yeah.
I mean, what reasonably do you think he could beat Jacob? Because we've talked about it numerous times, Brad. Jacob's a loose cannon.
Well, first of all, you're not going to have them face off because they're both faces. Well, I guess you could. Because you have Randy Orton against Cody for King of the Ring, and they're both faces right now, too. So you could do that.
I wouldn't be surprised if Randy turns heel.
I was just thinking that.
Because we know you never trust the Viper.
Nope.
Just ask all the factions he's been in and what's happened when they tried to trust him. I got the perfect faction to ask. Ask the Authority what happens when you trust Randy Orton.
Ask the Wyatts when he burned their house down.
Yeah. I say ask the Authority. Ask Seth Rollins specifically.
Yep.
Seth has nightmares of not only Randy Orton, but Kane.
Yeah.
Kane's comfortably being a mayor.
Yeah, Kane's never coming back.
Kane's a mayor.
I do miss the Big Red Machine, but that was my favorite feud with Rollins. Was the Big Red Machine? Was Kane the Big Red Machine against Seth Rollins? And I'm going to say this. This was back in 2015. Kane back then was not to be messed with. And Seth, he bit off more than he could chew.
Yeah.
He ticked off Kane. He didn't help Kane when Kane got injured by Brock Lesnar. Back then there was some good feuds. You had Rollins and Kane. Then you had Orton and Rollins at WrestleMania, the famous RKO. And I'm sorry, I don't think Seth's recovered from that. I think he still sees ghosts from his past.
Yes.
You guys want to leave it right there till next Tuesday?
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Lou, do you want to talk about your show, bud, before you get off?
Yeah. All right. Enhanced Sports Show rolls on Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We got a big show planned, of course. We'll wrap up Game 7 of the NBA Finals. We'll talk the NBA and the NHL draft. Though I think the NHL draft is going to take 2 shows to get done. Sorry. We'll take a look at the ESPY Award nominations just came out. I was looking for that all week. We'll talk some more WNBA, MLB, any NFL news is going on, and WWE UFC reports as well with my co-host Steve. Your thoughts and comments are always welcome. The ridiculous time of the week, sports trivia, this day in history, the good news story of the week, and the best and worst sports moments in the month of June. Number is 512-543-4662. I'll do that one again. 512-543-4662 from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We're on Facebook Live, and you can like and share that Facebook page as well. And Alec, you're welcome to come along as well. I hope you can make it.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, it's a special week because it's my anniversary of my since I started podcasting. It is now 12 years.
Congrats.
Yeah. That started from the local era. But it is 12 years.
Guys, get over there and join his show on Saturday. We're gonna be on a special date next week on Tuesday.
Yes.
This show will be on after the P&W show. Earlier in the evening, we'll be on there as well. But I want to thank these 3 gentlemen for making this show so great. I also want to thank the first responders and the men and women of our armed services. Thank you so much for doing what you do, because we wouldn't be able to do it without you. Like I said, we will be here on a special time next Tuesday. And in 2 weeks, on the 10th of July, Nicole will be on the show for us to interview her after she did her first LPGA Tour event. She did not make the cut, but I want to talk to her about what it was like to play on the tour. That's got to be a cool experience to talk about. So we'll have her on
in there, Nicole.
in a couple weeks. There was something, but we'll talk about this next week. College football stadiums that are the toughest to play in. We'll open the show with that next week, guys, on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'll give you the list of what was picked as far as the top 25 to play in. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I had a little conversation with somebody on social media about it. And I'm like, why isn't Virginia Tech on there? And they responded back to like, oh, Virginia Tech's not on there because it's not really a tough place to play. Everybody just overhypes it because of the entrance.
Yeah.
Nah. They got one of the coolest entrances in all of college football, so I don't care what anyone says.
No.
Until then, I will see these gentlemen. We will be back. I am the sports writer, Bradley Walker. This is the Walker Report, part of NGSC Sports and sponsored by biotropiclabs.com. Until then, guys, we will see you on Tuesday. Peace.
Send it.
Gentlemen, I will see you guys Tuesday.